Hey, all you sitcom stars. It is your fabulous host, Larry Saperstein, joined today, as always, by my fabulous co-host and partner in life, Jacob Bellotti.
Hello, Larry. How are you?
I'm actually doing fabulous right now.
I know. I am too.
I'm glowing. Because we're about to record a fabulous episode of a great podcast called Let's Talk About That.
All systems are a go.
Talking database activated.
Begin in 3, 2, 1.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what? Let's talk about who? Let's talk about me. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about that. Girl, I cannot believe we are talking about that.
Wait, what are we talking about? Let's talk about that. I mean, today is just going to be a magical day.
I know. We're glowing because we recorded the bulk of this episode before now, and
Yes.
we know how special and amazing it is.
It really is special. I think it's one of the most special episodes we've done to date.
Yes, I would say that 100%.
With just one of the most special people that has probably some of the deepest knowledge of Hollywood and the film and television industry of really any person that we have met or been able to come into contact with.
Yes, she absolutely has been in this business and known this business her entire life.
Yeah.
So.
But before we get into that, is there anything you want to talk about with us? Let's talk about us,
Let's talk about us. Well, we're on our trip.
Yes, we are on the trip as you are listening to this, but not as we are filming it. You know what I mean?
How about that? Yeah, I assume it's going great.
This is a great time for us to talk to future us.
Yeah.
And see how future us is doing. And hopefully future us is doing great.
Future us, we love you.
Future us, we love you.
We love you.
We just watched a very interesting video about Costco.
We did. They were explaining the Costco business model.
And in an era of corporate greed.
Yeah.
And in an era of the world crumbling in front of our eyes, we just want to say, Costco, we love you.
We love
because
you.
Costco's not doing that corporate greed.
No, they're not.
They are keeping prices low because they're making their profits off their membership.
And they value their customers.
And I know we're maybe in a subscription hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll keep that Costco subscription, $65 a year.
Yeah.
It is like half the price of Netflix.
I know.
Of Netflix.
Well, Netflix
girl.
is like $20 a month now.
I know.
20.
And it's just like when I think about Costco.
That's 3 months of Netflix.
Yeah, we're going to a party tomorrow, a holiday party. And, I was talking.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the quick and funny holiday party.
Oh, okay.
We talked about it.
Oh.
Anyway, I was talking to them about getting pizza for the party, and I'm like, Costco.
Yeah.
$10 a pie.
Yeah.
$10 a pie.
And it's delicious.
And it's delish.
Make sure they get some chicken bakes too. I like those.
All right, I'll get you a chicken bake. But anyway, that's the energy.
That's the energy that we have today.
Just the joy of Costco.
Yes. And if you can tell that we're buzzing, it's because today we have an icon of stage and screen.
Yeah, a legend.
Joining us on the podcast.
We looked in her home.
Yeah.
And when we were recording this episode, we did not talk about this on the podcast with her, but in her home, she has this beautiful photo that was taken probably in the mid 70s.
Yeah.
And she's in it. And it is an iconic photo of the 50th anniversary of CBS, the television network.
Yes.
Now, in this photo, mind you, this is long before, people being superimposed into images. Like, that's what they would do now, right? Now they would get everyone to take a photo and they would put them all together and nobody would be in the same room. This is like, they all had to be there. They all had to stand on these risers. They all had to take this photo.
Yeah.
Lucille Ball. Mary Tyler Moore. Who else?
So many people.
So many.
Many people.
Those were the only ones that were pointed out to me. But, this is an iconic photo and she's in it.
She's in the photo. I know.
And
Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner's in the photo.
Yeah, I mean, just like all of these classic Hollywood
Legends.
television stars.
Just all in one photo, and it's hanging in her house, and it's gorgeous and beautiful.
And we just filmed a lovely episode with her and her lovely dog, and it's just fantastic. And
yes. So our guest today, she is a 2-time Primetime Emmy Award winner for her role as Gloria in All in the Family.
Absolutely.
She was on the Gilmore Girls as
Absolutely.
Babette.
Absolutely.
You can see her now in a brand new Netflix show starring Ted Danson called Man on the Inside.
My Man on the Inside.
She voiced a major character in Dinosaurs.
One of your favorites.
Jim Henson original.
Yeah.
And she's an all-around incredible woman. Person. Kindness radiates from her soul.
Absolutely.
She has some insane stories that you are absolutely not going to want to miss.
Yeah.
So please, it is our pleasure
Absolute
to welcome to the
pleasure.
podcast Sally Struthers
Struthers.
right after this.
The mighty mouse is on the way. Yes, sir, when there is a wrong to right, mighty mouse will fight the fight. On the sea or on the land, he's got the situation well in hand.
Well, Sally Struthers, hello!
We are. Hi, Jacob. Hi there.
How are you?
Oh, I'm so glad that it's already a new year.
This is
Yeah.
so exciting.
You're the first guest of 2025.
You are the first guest of
It's
2025.
really fun being the first.
featuring Rooney, of course.
Featuring Rooney.
Our first Let's Talk About That pet.
on the
Really?
pod.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've talked about our cat Lawrence, and we've done some wonderful segments on Lawrence.
Yes.
but we've never featured Lawrence because we don't film in the same apartment that Lawrence resides in. But now we are getting to feature Rooney, and that is just such a treat.
Yes, we are here in Sally's beautiful home, by the way. We absolutely love it here.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you.
It's so gorgeous. And I think you are a very gorgeous person as well, by the way. I think everything you do, I find so entertaining, so
Absolutely.
comedically charged, and you do it so effortlessly. And I think that's one of the things that has made you a star for so many years now.
I don't know how I wound up this way, but I arrived this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mother passed away 29 years ago,
Yeah.
but she used to speak English incorrectly on purpose to talk about me, because I would see people interviewing her and they would say, "What was Sally like when she was a little girl? I mean, was she like crazy funny like she was?" And my mother would say, "Well, Sally was born with funny." Because, Jimmy was
Yeah.
born with the club foot.
Right.
Sally was born with funny.
But funny.
Yeah.
and I, when I was 2 years old and I had maybe, I don't know, a vocabulary of 30, 40 words.
Right.
Yeah.
My mission in life was to get my family and my neighbors laughing.
Yeah.
Aw.
That's
At
amazing.
Two. I mean,
I know.
You just always had it.
well, it's my music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a selfish endeavor.
Yeah.
If I hear laughter from one person or a crowd of people, it's better than any concerto you can play for me on the record player.
That is
Notice I said
amazing.
record player. Does that give my age away?
No, record players are in now.
They're
Are they?
in.
Oh, good.
Everyone has a record player.
I
these
got him a
days.
record player last year for his birthday.
Yes.
So they're back in.
When's your
They are-
birthday?
My birthday's in April.
April what?
April 12th.
Almost everyone in my family's in April.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wait, when are you?
I'm July 28th.
Okay. So
I'm
not,
a Leo.
so not- okay.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Well, listen, his birthday's in April. Your family's birthday is in April.
We're basically family.
We're keeping it all on the family.
We didn't say when your birthday is, Jacob.
December. I'm December 11th.
Oh, you're one of those people that hopes you get 2 presents. One
Yes.
for your birthday.
I
one
always
for
get
Christmas.
him 2
Yes.
presents. I make sure. I make sure to get Jacob good presents.
Yes, he
Enough
does.
presents for both holidays. I mean, and just back to the funny thing of it just coming out of you. Like, we just did the show together, Rapunzel and her holiday wish, and there was so much freedom for really all of us, but mostly you, to kind of ad-lib and bring jokes and bring funny lines. And when I tell you, it was every time you did a scene, there was something new, some new joke, some new moment, and it just like it just pours out of you.
It radiates.
I'd like to think that that's intentional, but half the time I was making stuff up because I couldn't remember what I was supposed to say.
But that's what I'm
Perfect.
saying.
It was
It radiates.
perfect.
It's like even that, like the improv just naturally comes out funny when you do it. It's incredible.
Thank you. I'm gonna have you over here every week for it's Go Boost Sally Day.
Yeah.
Well, we were
Boost her up.
literally
my
as we
honor.
were driving here in the car, I was like, we need to do like a monthly dinner. Like,
Okay.
And then now we're here, and we're like, I could live here. I could come here every day.
yeah. So I want to talk about the beginning of your career first. We'll go through all this stuff. So you were on, the first thing you did was the Tim Conway show. Was that your first?
Well, the first things I did
Yeah.
were a myriad of television commercials.
Okay.
Yes.
And so that got me used to the camera and used to working and receiving a paycheck.
Yeah.
What? Because I went from 2 years old to 20 just giving it away.
Yeah, it's
Right.
crazy the first time you're in front of a camera and you say something and then you get paid for it.
Yes.
It's like, what is
Yeah.
that? You know?
But then the first regular job I got was on the Smothers Brothers show.
Okay.
So
yeah.
people thought that I made up my name to go with them because it was Sally Struthers on the Smothers Brothers show.
Oh my gosh!
No, it just happened that way.
It's so fabulous.
And I only have a sister. I don't have a Struthers brothers. Ba-da-bum. So then I did that for the summer on ABC, and then I went straight onto the Tim Conway Comedy Hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the writer-producers of that, Sam Bobrick and Ron Clark, because it was Tim's third time around of having his own show.
Yeah.
And the other 2 times had not worked out that well. So
Right.
I would look at his car in the parking lot at CBS, and his license plate said 12 weeks. Because that's as long as he lasted.
Yeah.
So Sam and Ron decided to make the show look like it had no budget. And
Okay.
everything was done on the down low, cheap.
Yeah.
So it would come on your TV, and there would be a blank screen, and then the camera would pan around a pretty much blank soundstage. And then the announcer would say, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Tim Conway Orchestra." And the camera would pan around to Art Matrano, who was at a music stand.
Wow.
But they couldn't afford to give him an instrument, so he had to hum the opening theme song. So he was reading the music and going da 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 da.
My God.
Da, 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 da. And they go, and now the Tim Conway dancer. Now, back in the day, you're both so young, there was a man on TV that everyone loved named Jackie Gleason.
Of course.
And he had the June Taylor dancers, and they were like the Rockettes. They were all 5'8", 5'9" women, and a ton of them.
Yeah.
Dancing beautifully, outrageous costumes, like an old Busby Berkeley film.
Yeah.
And at some point, they would always lie on the floor and do patterns with their arms and legs. And because there were so many of them, it looked like a sea anemone. So they would cut to me, and I would be in a horrible tap dancing costume, just pathetic looking costume with like a pagoda on my head. And then I'd be tap dancing all by myself, but poorly. I can't tap like you, Larry.
Wow.
And then I would lie down on the floor and open and close my arms and legs and wave to the overhead camera. "Hi, Ma!" And I was 5 weeks in on that show, and I was let go.
Oh my God.
And I asked the producers, "Why are you letting me go?" Because I was certainly a contribution to the show. I did
Absolutely.
skits with Tim.
Right.
Yeah.
We did funny skits.
Yeah.
They said, "The suits in New York think you make the show look cheap." And I said, "Didn't you explain it to them that that's the whole point of the show? It's like the show has no budget."
Right.
And like also, doesn't it look cheap when it's an empty sound stage?
Right.
at the
They're-
beginning?
they're making the show look
They
cheap.
didn't understand the humor.
Right.
It was
For
ahead of
instance,
its
the
time.
very first one on the air in
Right.
September was this Christmas show.
Right.
Because he said, "I don't know if I'm going to make it to Christmas, so I'm going to have a Christmas show."
That's so funny.
That
Like
is
that's such a
comedically
great
brilliant.
idea. Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. I went home sobbing.
Oh.
I mean, to be let go of a national television show, and that's when there were only 3 networks on the air.
Sure.
But because I was now unemployed, I was available to read for All in the Family.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, 8
how
seasons
it
and 2
goes.
Emmys later, who's crying after that? So you got on All in the Family. That was created by Norman Lear.
No,
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
I thought it was.
no. He's gone, and I feel very safe in telling you that the reason that I wasn't a huge fan of his
Okay.
is because he told the world that it was his show, that he created it. But it was Carol O'Connor who saw it in England,
Carol O'Connor.
who played Archie Bunker. And Carol came home and got together with a friend of his who was a full-fledged writer. And said, let's Americanize this series from England called Till Death Do Us Part.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was All in the Family in England.
Okay.
And let's see if we can get it going here in America.
Yeah.
So they wrote scripts, but they didn't have the producer power money to
make it happen.
So after shopping it around for a while, it wound up in Norman's hands.
Yeah.
And Norman pretended for the next 52 years that he
That it was
created.
his.
It was Carol O'Connor
Wow.
who wrote it,
Right.
was a writing partner.
Wow.
Then the press would ask him in the early days, how did you cast this? Where did you find Carol O'Connor? And he would say, I just went out and looked for the best actor in America. Carol was already part and parcel with it.
He like
Whoa.
created it. Okay.
Wow.
You know what? I have to say I've heard a lot of stories like this. Like
Yes.
that's not a unique thing. A lot of people, and in fact, in my own career, I've had it happen where
Yeah.
you create things and then somebody else says they created them, and that's like kind of part of Hollywood, which is horrible to say.
It's
but
part of the history.
it is, and it makes me wonder, what was it like navigating the brutal nature of Hollywood in those early days?
Lord only knows that it's brutal now, but it's changed in many ways because of social media. So
Yeah.
it's a different kind of brutal.
Yeah.
But isn't business, whether it's show business or just our national industries, isn't it all kind of brutal?
Yeah.
It's true. It
I mean,
is
it's
true.
all about making money, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
But all those years on the show, Norman Lear and his wife would have dinner parties, and they would invite Carol O'Connor and his wife Nancy. They would invite Jean Stapleton, who played Edith Bunker, and her husband Bill. And they would, of course, invite Rob Reiner and his wife at that time, Penny
Right.
Marshall, because Rob was the son of Carl Reiner, who was a good friend of Norman Lear's.
Right.
I wasn't in 8 years invited to his home.
Oh, my
no.
goodness. I'm so sorry.
It didn't feel good.
No.
Yeah.
I went up to him when the show was climbing to #1 at the end of the first season, and he was on the soundstage watching us rehearse, and we were on a break, and I skipped over to him. I mean, I was 21 years old, but
Right.
I felt and acted like I was 15. Hi, Norman. He said, hi, Sally. I said, I can't believe that we're doing this and we're about to hit #1 on the air. He says, yeah. I said, wow, you saw so many young ladies for this role. And he narrowed it down to 4, and one of them was Penny Marshall. And I thought for sure you'd cast her because you already cast Rob as the meathead.
Right.
So I thought you'd let Penny play the daughter Gloria. And so I didn't even try on the audition at the last audition
Sure.
because I figured I didn't stand a chance. And I sometimes wonder, we all had to do audition what's the word? Improvisations.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the room for all those CBS suits and you and your partner Bud Yorkin, and was I really the funniest one? And he said no.
Huh.
Oh.
Oh,
Did
okay.
Did you ask why?
Yeah, so I said, okay. Well, then why did I get it? Why am I playing it right now? He says, well, I sat down with the writers before, we started really making the episodes, and when we were still having to cast Gloria, and we talked about, was it more advantageous for if the show had longevity for the daughter to be more like a mama's girl or a daddy's little girl? And we thought Archie was a lot to swallow for the American audiences with his,
Yeah.
bigotry and his social slurs. And so we thought we could soften him up if he had a soft spot in his heart for his daughter and she could be daddy's little girl. So we hired you because just like Carol O'Connor, you have blue eyes and a fat face.
Oh my goodness.
That is so brutal and
Thank
so
you.
untrue.
I think, thank you. Okay, bye, Norman.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to bring up these
No, I
horror
mean, it's just,
story memories.
he's gone. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm here telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we appreciate
hearing that. And, you know, we try and always talk about real experiences in the industry because, you know, both of us, I've been a producer for 4 years and he's been an actor for 5 years in Hollywood. And we always try and share like the authentic experiences we've had. And we appreciate you sharing that with us.
And well, first of all, I'm sure you were the funniest.
Yeah.
Maybe he just didn't want to admit it, but you were. I'm sure you were. I know you were. And
men were also sexist.
Yes, men were so sexist back then. And also there is this thing, you know, I spoke to when I did my show High School Musical, the series. We had a dinner with our showrunner, and somebody asked him, like, thinking it was like a juicy question, like, did you see any bad auditions? Was there anyone that auditioned for the show that was bad? And he said, you know, actually at a certain point, nobody is bad. Like, nobody that auditions for any of these shows is bad. It's just a question of the story that they're trying to tell and who they think fits with, like, it's all those factors. And I think there are a lot of, you know, young aspiring actors and young aspiring people in the entertainment industry that listen to our show. And I think it's good for them to hear, like, it's not your talent that that becomes a no, or even sometimes a yes. It's all these different factors that
can be a play.
That play into being in these shows. But the point is, I mean, the American public loved you.
Yes.
2 Emmys later.
Yeah.
You know?
And 8 seasons.
And it's what you did with it. It's what you took from it and what you made from it that is the success and the testament to you and how amazing you are.
Well, thank you. A lot of it is just serendipitous or happenstance. I mean, people wonder why I'm still at 77 years old doing so much theater, and it's because because I'm asked to. I really don't even have to audition. I get offered roles all over the country in different musicals and plays, and they say, well, you know, why is your friend Brenda Vaccaro sitting at home not working? She's a brilliant actress. And I said, because I was lucky enough to be on a groundbreaking national television series.
Yeah.
And people in North America learned my name.
Right.
And got used to my face and my voice. And now they're curious. You know, at 77, they're going to come see something, maybe because they love you or like you, but just as much because, wait a minute, is she still alive? Oh, and let's go see what she looks like now. I mean, there's
but then
that
you knock
factor.
their socks off.
Then you knock their socks off. It's true.
Which, to that point, this is a great story for the podcast, and I've told you this already multiple times, but the first time that I saw you perform, I was in high school, and I did this theater trip with my choir group in high school, and we went to...
What high school were you in and where?
On Long Island, Islip High School, and so we drove down because we were doing they do a lot of choir in the parks, so we were going to Busch Gardens, Busch Gardens, Virginia, right, to go sing in the parks and do this like competition. And on the way, we stopped at the dinner theater you were working at, Riverside, and you were in a production of 9 to 5, and you played Roz. And we actually sang before the performance. We went up on the stage and we sang to the audience.
We were both on the same stage on the same day.
And then we worked together and we were on the same stage for 30 days. Yeah. How amazing is that? But you talked to all of us after the show as well. And you know, the whole group, and
that's so
cool.
I
remember, we asked you some questions and you were so nice to us. And, from then on, I always remembered that we had briefly met and how wonderful you were. And I had seen things here and there of theater that you were doing all over the country. And it was just such my eyes lit up, and I probably made like an audible, oh, wow, like when I saw that you were going to be doing Rapunzel with me. And it's just so amazing that we got to do that together.
We really just were very lucky to do such an interesting new. Maybe, have you done a panto before?
No.
First of all, let's just break down why it's called a panto when no one's pantomiming in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the tradition. I don't know.
But pantomime means sort of like a mime.
Yeah.
You do things with your hands and face, but you don't say anything really.
Right.
So I don't know why it's called a panto.
I don't know either.
We got to go hundreds of years back in British history
to
know the answer to that.
I guess.
Yeah. But, I mean, you were great in it.
You were great in it. You were great.
No. Larry was okay. You were amazing.
No, I wasn't. No, I was just getting through, and I was so happy that all of you were so polite and good to me.
Oh, it was an honor.
I was
it was
lost
an honor
on stage.
I have to tell you, though, you are a complete class act of a and such a genuine kind human being, because the way that you would interact with people, not even in the production but around the production, anytime I was there, you took the time to say hello to me, and Larry's family came and you were so kind to them as well.
I love your family. And I love you, Jacob. Your parents are so darling. I can't stand it.
They loved you.
Meeting them and talking with them made me realize how you wound up who you are.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Because they're really great people, and they're moving to Florida.
Yes.
And I want to go visit them.
Well, I'm sure you are welcome
Scott
anytime.
and Marissa, if you're watching this podcast.
They are. They will.
They will.
They absolutely will. They always listen.
Yeah.
And, of course, they will listen even more when they know that you're on it.
Yeah. But even beyond the stage, you don't know this about me.
I don't know much about you.
I know. And
other than New Jersey.
Yes, from New Jersey. In college, I studied at Syracuse University, and I had 2 degrees, 2 majors. And
what were they?
One of them was in television, radio, and film, which is,
Smell you.
all of this. And the other one was in American history. And so
I know.
My
right?
my biggest passion was always television history, and I in fact took a class, Sally, that we talked about you in the class as one of the first female pioneers of comedic television, and also groundbreaking television in terms of All in the Family as something that explored controversial topics. And that was so fascinating to me. But I don't do you realize that I know Lucille Ball was first, right? And then, there was Carol Burnett and Mary Tyler Moore. But you are also among the greats of American comedy in that way. Do you realize that?
I mean, the stars of these shows are considered the greats. I was the 4th banana on the show. And my frustration in the first 5 seasons of All in the Family was that as we called them, the Habim scribes, our older, brilliant, Jewish-faithed writers knew how to write for Milton Berle, Carl Reiner, and Carol O'Connor, but they didn't know what to do with a young lady.
Right.
So I usually had about 3 lines per show that said, "I'll help you set the table, Ma. Michael, where are you going?" And, "Oh, Daddy, stop it." and the next week I'd have the 3 same lines, but in a different order. I mean, and if they literally didn't know what to do with me in a scene, they'd have me go upstairs to take a bath. Or wash my hair. It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
And
I can imagine.
So I hired a lawyer and tried to get off the show.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, in the 5th year, I went to arbitration to get off the show.
Wow.
I spent $40,000 in legal fees
goodness.
trying to break my contract.
My goodness.
I mean,
I lost.
yeah.
I went back and had 3 more seasons, but they were by far the most fun for me because finally they had Mike and Gloria have a baby. They had us move next door into the house the Jeffersons lived in when the Jeffersons moved on up to the east side.
Yeah.
And there was finally a lot for me to do on the show.
They heard you. That's maybe what you needed to do to get them to hear you.
Maybe.
You took action. And I think it probably changed the rest of that experience.
It didn't win me any favors. I mean, there were people that held that against me.
I totally get that, but I think it probably helped you to have more to do on the show, which is, what you set out to do. And, another thing we talk about a lot is taking action for yourself. We talk a lot about, we can't just apply for this or work our way up from that. It's like we just have to go out there and like do something.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing the podcast.
But we still in 2025 live in a world where if men step up, make their life, their income, something better in their lives, more prestigious, their job, their title, they are powerful men. But if a woman claws and scratches to get there, she's a biatch.
Yeah.
Right.
Or worse.
Right.
And yes, the women's movement has gotten better and better at making things close to equal, but still,
it's not there.
It's not there.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just not there.
But that's why it's such an important thing that you've been part of that from the beginning, Like, I think when you look back at the history, like, you are part of the names and the people that have fought for your place in this industry, and that is like very, very admirable and remarkable to me.
And it makes us respect the hell out of you.
Yeah.
I'm tougher than I look.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back with more Let's Talk About That right after this. And we're back with Sally Struthers. My goodness.
I'm still not dead.
And won't be for a long time.
Yes. It was a long break. But we did have a 5-course meal.
Yes, delicious.
Yes. We had a delicious dinner that will now become a monthly tradition. So during the break, we were talking for just a second about the Golden Girls, and we have to lean into this because I grew up like the Golden Girls was, All in the Family was on the TVs sometimes, as was I Love Lucy, as was the Golden Girls. And the Golden Girls was like one that I always related to because they talk a lot about LGBT issues, which is like kind of what I've made my career the focus of. And you were saying you were good friends with Bea Arthur.
Yes, Bea Arthur was brought to Los Angeles by CBS from New York to have a guest spot on All in the Family. And she played Edith Bunker's cousin. And Archie, Edith, Mike, and Gloria all had the flu, so there wasn't anyone in the family that could take care of the others. We were all sick.
Yeah.
So they sent for cousin Maud. And the episode that Bea Arthur was on was so outrageous at every level because we rehearsed in a rehearsal hall for 3 days in CBS up on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
A windowless room where Carol O'Connor and our director, John Rich, both smoked cigars.
Of
and
course.
Gene Stapleton and I were dying in this windowless room.
Yeah.
And Bea Arthur comes in and she's a force of nature. And they had these guys come every 3rd day from the Department of Programs Practices. And they would march in like Tweedledee, Tweedledum, and Tweedledummer, all in their suits and ties, each with a script of this week's episode. And they wouldn't even look at us while we were running the show for them. By now, on the 3rd day, we all knew all our lines.
Right.
We had the outline of the living room and the kitchen and the dining room all mapped out with tape on the floor. So we walked the same way we would be when all the stuff was there.
Yeah.
And we were giving a full-on performance, but it's the programs practices guys were looking at the script. Sometimes they'd look up, but you couldn't count on them for a lot of laughs because they were too busy making sure we said the words that were on the page. Bea Arthur was filthier than a drunken sailor on purpose. She put all sorts of expletives in her lines to shock these men.
Oh my goodness.
And I mean, I don't know if I can swear on your podcast.
Oh, of course. Say whatever you want to.
I mean, she would have a line like she was supposed to say, Maud was supposed to say to Archie, "Listen, Archie, I'm tired of arguing with you. I'm your wife's cousin." And I mean, and the guys are following along on the scripts lined up against the wall. And she says, "Listen, you asshole, I'm your fucking wife's cousin." The guys with the script are going, they were having heart attacks. And Rob Reiner and I were screaming. We were falling down screaming.
Oh, my God.
And then, of course, she was so brilliant on the episode.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
When they filmed it without using all those swear words, that they went, wait a minute.
Like,
Cha-ching, cha-ching. She's so great as Maude. We should give her her own series.
and then we get Maude.
So that's how Maude happened. And
Oh
because
my
of Maude, that's how she
God.
got
Golden Girls with and Brew McClanahan was on Maude too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I lived in Brentwood at the time.
Okay.
Just a few blocks from where O.J. Simpson killed his wife. And my house was on a street called Saltaire.
Okay.
And 4 houses up the street from me was the house that was filmed as the exterior on Golden Girls.
I've driven by it and taken pictures outside of it because I was so thrilled
so
about
I
it.
lived 4 houses down from the Golden Girls house, the outside of their house.
God.
Amazing.
Yes, and I have to say, now that she's gone, I want to talk about Betty White for just a moment. And I know everybody loves her. They loved her so much. They signed petitions to get her to guest host Saturday Night Live. I know all that.
Yeah.
I didn't have such a great experience with her.
Really?
Very passive-aggressive woman.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah. We went to her house once to work on a pilot for a new game show.
Where did she live? Did she live
She
in
lived in Brentwood-ish, Westwood-ish.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful home. Mm-hmm. And she asked her housekeeper,
Yeah, we'll hold-
apocalypse now is happening. We've got a few helicopters going over. They're usually over the house all night, every night, because here in Hollywood,
yeah.
there's so much
Yeah.
crime.
Yeah, I know.
And she asked her housekeeper to bring in a plate of whatever to us while we were all sitting and talking about what was working about the game show and what wasn't. And then the plate was set in the middle, and it was cookies, I think. So I reached for a cookie, and she said in front of everyone, "Oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you, dear. You don't need a cookie."
Oh my
Oh,
God.
my goodness.
Totally fat shamed me in front of the rest of the people in the room.
Aw.
And I thought, gosh, that's not nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry you had that experience with her, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you had a lot of great experiences with Bea Arthur.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Tell us a fun memory.
She lived in Brentwood too. She moved
Yeah.
from
Right.
New York to LA.
Yeah.
And I would run into her at the supermarket, and she would trash everyone we ever knew. We would stand in the aisle, and she'd say, "What do you think about so and so?" And I'd say, "Oh, she's a friend. Oh, she can't be a friend because she's a fucking asshole." People in the store were like, "What's going on in aisle 5?"
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. I love that.
But I loved how filthy she was.
Yeah.
I loved how the tanks are coming.
It's a-
We're going to have a full-on war.
There's a militia
here.
on the way. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a big deal.
Wow.
I loved her.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear.
And Rue McClanahan was a sweetheart.
Yeah, she seemed like it. I
Yeah.
know. My biggest regret was when she did Wicked. I didn't see her when she did Wicked as Madame Morrible.
we were
Oh, I
we
bet
were
she
very
was
young.
wonderful.
Okay, well, I saw the original with Idina and
I know,
Kristen,
I
but
know
I
you did.
I didn't see Rue when she did it, and it makes me sad to this day that I didn't see it because I think she did that like a year before she passed, which
Oh,
was
wow.
like crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is so thrilling to hear
That's a
about.
great
And
story.
yes, now we have Rooney on the pod.
He wants his camera time. You want your camera time?
But I bet you have so many great Hollywood stories. Like, what are some of your favorite memories, like of, you know, kind of the original Hollywood and things that happened in your life that were fun and crazy?
Well, let's see. I dated Elvis for a while,
Oh yeah,
Oh my goodness.
who did I know that dated Elvis? It
and
was
that was fun.
Yeah.
Linda Thompson.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Linda Thompson.
Linda Thompson also, I think, dated Elvis.
Well, he was probably the nicest man I ever met.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, he was so polite and so kind and soft-hearted that you just couldn't believe anybody that was that beautiful
Right.
had never caught on that they were beautiful and gotten obsessed with themselves. He was just all about kindness to everyone,
Oh,
which was pretty great.
that's pretty iconic.
Oh, my favorite
Yeah.
ever. I mean, your listeners probably don't even know who Gregory Peck was, but Gregory Peck was one of the biggest stars that ever came down the
Oh,
pike.
my
and He was
Lord.
the lead in the film Atticus Finch, To Kill a
Yes,
Mockingbird.
yes.
And I fell in love with him after I saw that film. And I hero worshipped him from afar, and I didn't run in the same circles because he was a movie star and a lot older than I was, just on TV, and that's the way America treated actors.
Yeah.
If you're a movie star, you're a big deal. If you're on TV,
Different now.
you're on TV.
It's
Completely different
different now.
Yeah. So I walk into a restaurant with a friend one time and sit down, and she's facing the bigger part of the restaurant, and I'm facing the wall on purpose because I'm constantly bringing a spoonful of soup or a forkful of salad in my mouth and looking up and seeing that 12 people are staring at me as I'm going. So I always choose to face the wall. But she says, Sally, don't turn around. But over against the other wall is Gregory Peck and his wife Veronique, and they're with Nancy Sinatra and her date. I don't know who that is. And so I slowly turn around, and my heart, it pounds so hard, my face turned bright red. So I called the waiter over, and I said, I want to send the nicest bottle of champagne you have to the Gregory Peck's table. He said, okay. I said, do you have any stationery or any paper at the front desk that I could write him a note? Sure. So I said, please deliver it in a thing with the ice, and please have the thing over your arm. And
Yeah.
So
Let it
it was
have
being
spark-
delivered. I
sparklers.
watched him go across the restaurant, and I watched him over there, and Gregory Peck read the note and showed it to his wife, and I could see him saying, oh, where is she? And he pointed at me, and I went, and he went like this and blew a kiss, and I went,
Oh. Oh my.
and I could have died and been fine right there.
Yeah.
But
Well, thank God you didn't.
our meal's over, and it's one of the few nights that it's pouring rain in Los Angeles.
Right.
Of course, I didn't have an umbrella with me because it never rains here, so you never. So, and the restaurant barely had a lip over the front door. If you step one step out, you were going to get soaked. So
Yeah.
I'm in the doorway and waiting for them to bring the car around, and all of a sudden, an arm with a tweed suit came over me with an umbrella, and I turned and looked, and it was Gregory Peck holding an umbrella over me until I could get in the car.
That's
Well,
the sweetest
that
thing.
is-
Come on.
Let me just tell you that you are making my family very happy right now.
Oh,
And then
yeah?
I'm not to age you or anything, but my grandma will be so excited to hear this.
Your
this
grandma and I
story.
are close to the same age.
Yeah. You're about the same age.
Yeah.
She loved Gregory Peck.
Wow.
Oh my God.
She actually she is very interesting, and she grew up with one of her good friends growing up was Gary Marshall, and so
Wow.
she was like
Penny Marshall's brother.
exactly, and so she's very excited that you're on the podcast. Needless
Yes.
to say, but she loved.
What's your
Gregory
grandma's
Peck.
name?
Her name is Debbie.
Debbie, hi, it's me, Sally. Hi.
Oh,
I'm
she's
so
gonna be
glad I get to
delighted.
say hi to you, and I love your grandson, Jacob.
Oh my goodness, Sally, you make dreams come true.
It's
You really do.
Where's my wand?
Yeah, literally. My God, that is an amazing story though about Gregory Peck, and his grandson Josh Peck.
What does he
friend of the
do?
pod.
I didn't realize
His grandson
that.
Josh Peck he was on a kid show called Drake and Josh on Nickelodeon.
I didn't
Okay.
realize that was the relation.
and he became a big star because of that. So his grandson is still
cool.
yeah.
So now, speaking of people in our generation, I think it would be a lot of the people that listen here would be angry if we didn't talk for a little bit about Gilmore Girls.
Yes, the Gilmore
That
Girls.
was pretty lucky.
Yeah, was that a fun?
That was joyful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Every single moment joyful. Thank you, Amy Sherman Palladino, Dan Palladino. Thank you, Warner Brothers.
Oh.
Thank you, Netflix, for putting us
You
on
were
after we've
brilliant.
been off for years. I was working in Vegas doing a 2-woman musical called Always Patsy Cline, and I got a call from my manager saying, you need to come down here Sunday night because Monday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning they want you at Warner Brothers to read for this series that's going on there called Gilmore Girls. And it's a character that lives next door to the woman and daughter who are the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
And her name is Babette, and they're looking for a diminutive actress to play it. They're not seeing anyone over 5 feet tall. And then they're going to cast someone very tall to be your jazz musician husband.
Wow.
So I worked until 11 o'clock on Sunday night in Vegas doing my show.
Yeah.
Made the
Now,
last.
isn't that the same show that you did at Laguna?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Love
Isn't
that.
that crazy?
Yes. Okay.
So I made it home at probably 2 a.m. and got about 4 hours of sleep and got up and got ready to go on this audition. And I walked in and I did what I've learned to do. If young actors are watching the show, divert, inflect.
Yeah.
Because rather than just jumping right into the audition, I learned everyone's name in the room. And one guy was Gavin. He was one of the writer-producers. And I told him all about my Scottish grandfather, Gavin. And just talked about being short and some of my experiences only being this high and all that as an adult. And I was 20 minutes outside of the Warner Brothers lot, and I got a phone call from my manager saying, "You got it."
Wow.
Oh,
so there, and then I get on the set and I find out that my good friend Liz Torres is going to be played Miss Patty, the dance school teacher,
of course.
in town, and she was on All in the Family for a year.
Oh, cool.
Playing the housekeeper. So we've known each other for 50-something years.
Wow.
And we got to work together again, but we're awful together. We make each other laugh really hard. And so they kept splitting us up like teachers do in school. They kept saying, Liz, you go over and sit on that side of the sound stage, and Sally, you sit over here. You can't sit together because we were making too much noise.
Wow.
It was joyful. And Lauren Graham and Alexis Bledel, wonderful. And here's the story. I was sitting down the first day I went to shoot my first day on Gilmore Girls. I was in the makeup trailer, and they weren't done with my makeup and hair. And an assistant director comes in with a golf cart outside. She says, "Well, they need to see you down on the set. They want you to run your lines so the crew knows how to light the scene.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll bring you back here. You'll finish hair and makeup. You'll get in your costume. We'll take you back. But the director wants you to run the scene." So we pull up in the golf cart, and I get out. And the director comes walking toward me, absolute stranger, introduces himself and says, "Have you met your husband yet?" And I said, "No, I haven't. Is he here?" He said, "Yeah, he's over there." He says, "Ted." So this tall drink of water unfolds and he comes walking toward me, and he looks like Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him, and they said, "Run the scene." So we ran the scene. And we were going to get excused to go finish hair and makeup, but instead the director said, "Oh, that sun's coming." It was 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
"Sun's coming up so fast. We might want to change where we shoot. Could you two sit in these lawn chairs here and just wait a minute? We might want to run it again." So, okay. So I have had no sleep. And now I'm finding out he's had no sleep because he was hiking in Mexico in the mountains. And somehow got contacted that he needed to get back to LA, that he got the part.
Wow.
So in the quiet of the moment, I hear him say over here, "So how are things in Portland with your family and friends?" And I said, "What?"
Yeah.
He says, "In Portland, Oregon. How are things? You see your family and friends often?" I looked at him. I said, how do you know that I'm from... Oh, the producer sent me the script for this first episode in Vegas, and inside the cover page was a page of names of actors that had been cast and the character they'd be playing. And I read your name and I thought, could it be? But then I thought it couldn't be. But you are? And he got this Cheshire cat grin and he went, "Mm-hmm." Wow. I said, "So you're Ted Rooney, son of Ed Rooney, my high school math teacher."
Wow.
Oh my God.
He says, "Yes." I said, "So you grew up in Portland too?" "Uh-huh." "And you went to Grand High School too?" "Uh-huh." I said, "What year were you?" He says, "Well, I look older than you because of how tall and lanky I am, but I'm actually younger than you. I think I was a freshman when you were graduating as a senior."
Wow.
Oh my God.
And he was the third Rooney in my life.
Yeah.
I had Naomi Rooney, who taught Mrs. Rooney's Kinder College, and where I went with 4 years old because my mother wanted me to learn to be a good girl and be quiet and learn to share. And because I was very much like Gilda Radner as the brownie in the bedroom jumping up. So that Naomi, and then I had somebody else named Rooney. Oh, then I had Ed Rooney,
the math teacher, yeah.
And then Ted Rooney played my husband on Gilmore Girls.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
So when I found this
And now
dog
you
a
have
year and a
Rooney.
half ago at a rescue place, I named him Rooney after all the three Roonies in my life.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that is extraordinarily sweet. But speaking of Teds, you just did a show on Netflix with Ted Danson.
Yes,
Called-
another tall Ted.
Another tall
Ted.
Ted.
Ooh,
is he
He's
tall?
handsome, isn't he?
He's very handsome. And you know what? he is kinder and sweeter and nicer than he is tall and handsome. I mean, I think for me as a woman, never having been loved the way he obviously loves his wife, Mary Steenburgen.
Yes.
I've never had a man love me like that.
Oh.
And
well, we love you like that.
You have two
Hold
men
on.
right here that love
two
you.
right here.
he speaks so glowing. His face comes alive when he talks about Mary.
Oh.
And as a woman, it makes you fall in love with him for loving his wife that much.
Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely.
And then I watched him for all those weeks of shooting those 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And how kind he was to everyone on the set. And how kind of quiet and unassuming he was. Reminded me very much of Elvis. That kind of sweetness.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so the show aired in November on Netflix, A Man on the Inside, and within 2 weeks it already got picked up for another season, so I'm thrilled for him.
Oh,
It's
that's
amazing.
incredible.
And I remember asking you if he was someone that you had known forever because of the sitcom world of it all, and you said no, that was the first time
Interesting.
you had met him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first opportunity.
Wow. Well, make sure you check out Man on the Inside on Netflix.
A lot of incredible actors and actresses
my
on that show
gosh.
too. I mean, Stephanie
Beatrice, we love her.
John Getz, who plays my used to be husband and then my husband again on the show.
Yeah.
And Susan Rattan from LA Law.
Yeah.
And Clyde Kazatsu, who played the Princeton graduate.
Yes.
But I worked with him twice on All in the Family. He played the minister that married Mike and Gloria. And on Still Standing that I did with Jamie Gertz, he played my husband.
Wow.
So it was the third time I worked with Clyde Kazatsu.
It really all
That's
comes
amazing.
back to it, doesn't it?
It's really such
And
a great
of course, Margaret Avery, who was the original Shogun, the original Color Purple, and she was nominated for an Academy Award.
Yes.
That's right.
And she played my best friend in it, and now we are friends.
That's amazing.
I mean, so great.
It's such a sweet show too. Like it just has so much heart.
And also, you're transcendent, by the way. Let's just get that out there. You transcend in that one. We watched. We were watching
it before.
I
today.
don't even know really what that means. I mean, Jesus transcended, didn't he?
It means you come alive.
You transcended.
You did.
You lit up the screen. You absolutely lit up the screen. Stole the moment completely.
Oh.
And
it's true.
And that was the part that I loved about in the show.
I don't even know what to say.
No, literally, to be honest, we haven't seen the whole thing yet. We literally watched the first episode today. Okay.
And
you had like 2 lines in the first episode.
That sounds like my years on All in the Family.
Just like All in the Family.
But the second you come on,
those 2 lines, I'm telling, that was the part of the show I remember. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You light
That's
up the screen.
because we're friends.
No. Seriously, like you lit up the screen, stole the moment. That was the part I really laughed at in the show, and it was fantastic. And I can't wait to go and watch the rest of it now, knowing that you're in it and going to do that again.
Yeah.
So,
I love
we
it.
wanted to tell you that, of
Thank
course.
you.
So
and make sure that people watch it.
yes,
too.
make sure that people
Man
watch
on the Inside,
Man on the Inside on Netflix because Netflix needs our help.
Those royalties, honey. Gotta get those royalties moving.
Okay, one more question before we wrap up here, and it might be I don't know, but on the 9 to 5 series, was Dolly involved at all? Dolly Parton?
No, but I don't think America really understands that the actress on the show who played the part that Dolly played in the film is Dolly's baby sister, Rachel.
Oh.
Dolly is the first of 13 children born in her family, and Rachel's number 13.
Wait, I didn't know this at all.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So do you know Dolly well?
I've met Dolly
You've met
because I
Dolly.
had the tenacity to grab my aunt and uncle in Las Vegas and take them backstage to see her. I had never met her, but I wanted to meet her, and I had a feeling the people, at Caesar's Palace would let me bring my aunt and uncle back and come backstage. They went to her, and I'm sure they said, Sally Struthers wants to come in and see, and she said, "Oh, sure."
Yeah, I've only heard nice things.
She couldn't have been more beautiful.
Yeah.
Only heard amazing things.
Oh my God.
We had a guest that worked with her on a show called Hannah Montana.
Yes.
and said she was like she was just incredible.
Would see you 30 years later and still remember everything about you.
Yeah.
kind of person.
Yes, that's her.
Yeah.
Heart of gold. And a voice like I really, really want to predecease her so that she'll sing at my funeral. I really do.
That's amazing.
Okay, well, we're putting that out there, Dolly.
Yeah.
You got to follow up if that's Sally Struthers will live forever.
Yes,
honey.
that's true.
That's the truth. But I also want our listeners to know and our viewers to know that Sally Struthers is another heart of gold person.
Absolutely.
Like truly. I can't say it enough. Like one of the kindest, sweetest people
Let me tell you something.
I've met in this industry.
There's some of it you come to the earth with, and there's some of it you get out of total circumstance of who raises you and what neighborhood you live in.
Yeah.
And I happen to have been born into the most loving, demonstrative with their love to strangers, family and friends, Lutheran Norwegian family. I mean, I was helping my grandmother dust one day when I was about 10 years old because I would go over on the weekends and help her clean. And I just wasn't in the mood that day. And I let out a big groan. Ugh.
Yeah.
And she said, "What's the matter, Sally?" And I said, "Oh, Nanny, there's always dust." And she said, "Oh, Sally, God gave us dust so that we would always have something to do." I'll have what she's smoking.
Yeah.
I mean, good, genuine, kind.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother would take clothes that my sister grew out of things. They became my hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
When I grew out of them, which took a lot longer, those went in a bag down the street to someone who had a little girl younger than I was.
Yeah.
We shared everything. When our 2 peach trees in the backyard bore fruit, my sister and I picked all the peaches. My mother filled them into brown grocery bags, and she had us run up and down the block to give peaches to everyone in the neighborhood. I was taught you share everything you have with other people.
Yeah.
You share your home, you share your heart, you share your food, you share your knowledge, you share.
Yeah.
My father died at 50. And when he died, he was a physician. He was a general practitioner, a family doctor. He was penniless when he died because he didn't care if his patients paid him. He just wanted to make people well.
Oh,
Yeah.
So those are the people I came from.
Yeah.
well, it shows. Let me
does.
tell you, it really shows.
And-
Because you are so sweet.
Thank
such
you.
a
Well,
light.
I pretty much, unless you do something awful to me, I pretty much will love you from the moment I meet you.
that's
And
true.
we're so grateful that you've done this podcast.
Yeah.
and-
I want to do another one. I have more stories.
oh, yes. We'll have you back
Well,
on. It's
we
an
sure
open
will.
invitation anytime, Sally.
Okay.
No, we sure will. And listen, like, I know Larry got to work with you, and now I guess I'm technically working with you at this moment.
Yes, you are.
But you are just so talented, so funny,
Yeah.
and really just such a joy. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you through the show that you guys did in Laguna, and also here on the podcast.
We want to thank the Lithgow family for that job.
Yes, we do.
Becky and Chris Lithgow. He wrote the script, and Becky directed us.
And it was such a fun time.
It was amazing.
and
Yeah.
we would not be here today without them.
There you go.
And I am so blessed that we now have Sally Struthers in our lives.
Yeah.
And ditto kiddos. Yes.
All right. Well, if the people who maybe are learning new things about you today want to find things about Sally Struthers on the internet, is there anywhere they can go?
Do you do any social media?
None.
None.
Well,
I
That
don't,
is
I
very
don't own a
healthy.
computer. I don't understand anything with
very
buttons.
healthy.
If you notice, my outfit has no buttons. I don't understand technology of any kind.
well,
That is the healthiest thing I've
they'll just
ever
have
heard in
to
my
Google
life.
Sally Struthers and
Yeah.
they'll find all the information they need. How about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they can go to Netflix now and watch her on the
Absolutely.
new show, Man on the Inside.
Yes. And Gilmore Girls also on Netflix.
Gilmore Girls. This is now a Netflix podcast, apparently.
Well, if you want to find out more info about us,
Yes.
you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. At Let's Talk About That Pod, and Rooney might also be there.
Rooney. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, Rooney is absolutely there. I'll tell you that. And if you have any questions or inquiries, you can email us at letstalkaboutthatpod@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yes.
How about that?
Well, this has been a wonderful, wonderful experience, and we cannot thank you enough.
Yes.
Seriously.
Thank you for letting me be on your show.
We love
Thank you
it.
for coming on the
loved it.
show. We love you.
We
And
love you.
We'll see you next week on
Let's talk about that. Say bye, Rooney.
Bye.